Hello everyone, Shadefyre here, and welcome to this fairly light What's Update, or Grounded's Hot and Hazy update. But this is an update I wanted to do, mostly for me to be able to check out the game and see how it's been coming along through early access, as well as keep people in the loop if they have been interested in this game but not actually played it. So we've got a lot on the docket for today, enough that I think I'm going to do a separate second video for some of the other content so that it can all fit without just being a really long video. So for today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be heading over to the Haze biome, which is full of toxic insecticide, and is now full of fungally infected variants of the regular insects, and we're going to plug up that canister so that it's no longer toxic. Then, we're going to head over to the new picnic table biome, and we're going to blow up a shovel in order to get up there and check out someone's Mazes and Minotaurs game, as well as the beehive. Then, we're going to head over towards the Trash Heap and check out that new biome, before ending off at the new black ant hill, which are stronger ants than the red ants, and contains a bunch of other stuff that we're going to cover in the second video. So, decent amount of stuff to do today, but enough that I think we should be able to nail all of it, especially since I've already prepared all of our adventure gear. So, what we have here is we have the black ant shovel, which we'll need in order to obtain chewing gum in order to block up the canister. We have our bubble helmet and bone dagger, as we're going to need to do a little bit of swimming in a pipe in order to get something. We have our brat burst explosives, which are made out of ant eggs and exploding fungus, the same kind that is attached to the infected insects. We have the mint shard, which we actually won't need until the next part when we go into the desert. Tadpole jerky to keep fed. In fact, I should probably eat one of those, because it is still a survival game. We have the beefy boost juice to give us more stamina, and the beefy human food, which is damage resist if we need to fight anything tough. And the gas mask to go into the haze, a canteen full of water, upgraded hammer, red ant club. Now the main weapon we're going to be using is the black ant sword level 5, as well as the black ant shield, because this game is still very much, the combat is very much attached to blocking and parrying with perfect blocks. So the sword and shield combo here is pretty good, but there are some enemies that are now resistant to slashing type damage because they've added damage types as well as elements, and then made a bunch of the bugs resistant or weak against those various damage types or elements. So we're going to use the club against anything that's pretty resistant to slashing damage, but the sword's pretty good against anything that's not resistant to it. We also have an insect bow for mostly just aggroing stuff. Bows are still not very good. Weevil was unhappy and has left. Is he unhappy because he trapped himself underwater? Well, this is my pet Weevil. Apparently he's not happy. I don't even know how he got in there. But this is his little Weevil house.
That tastes really good.
Alright. Let us begin the journey. I think I've got a pretty decent little house going on. I like this spot because it's nice and open, nice and flat. However, it is kind of not really in the center of the map. Though the map is a weird shape right now. There's another update that I guess is not that far off because it's currently in the public test, which will be adding stuff on the other side of the pond. And that is even harder content than what's in this update, so it is meant to be the direct progression from what we do here. Okay, so we're going to head over to the Haze, which is of course this biome marked with a big biohazard symbol. And we're actually going to need to go to the back of it where the porch is, because that's where the chewing gum that we need to close off the canister is. Hopefully nothing kills us on the way. However, I have covered the map in respawn points so that I can set my spawn as we travel. And that way, there'll be a lot less corpse runs from far away. I've also marked them, which is what all these little sleep symbols are. Thankfully, we don't need to deal with these stink bugs, because they are still one of the tougher things in the game. And the gas mask does make you immune to their gas, but unlike when you're in the haze, getting in a stink bug's cloud will actually destroy the gas mask pretty quickly. So it doesn't protect you for long. Alright, here's one of my little survival camps, so we're gonna set spawn here. So this is the haze right here. You can see why it's called that. So we're going to pop on our gas mask, which unfortunately means we lose our Scarlet Embrace. But that just means that we get health back sometimes when we block. So it's not the most important thing. Oh, well, there's our first fungally infected. Weevil infected aren't hard to deal with because they explode. I like how these two weevils like died at the same time from walking into the haze. So yeah, this area is covered in insecticide because the scientists here were experimenting with creating a new type of fungus, and that's what's infected all of the bugs. So they decided that to scrap the whole project, they would just release insecticide. Unfortunately, it doesn't actually work for killing the bugs. Okay, the ladybug is the toughest fungally infected enemy right now. Basically, they're like the regular ladybug, very tanky, except sometimes they will throw an explosive at you. So we're not going to bother trying to kill this because I don't need to. But pretty much all of the fungal enemies are slightly stronger than their uninfected variants and tend to have exploding attacks of some variety. But they'll still have all of their regular attacks, like the ladybug's deadly charge. Hopefully she doesn't charge me in the back as I'm running away. So here is the canister. You can see where it's leaking. And we're going to need to climb up there in order to block it up. But first, like I said, we need the chewing gum. Oh, please don't drop me in the hole. Drop me in the hole. Alright, these trenches suck because they're full of larvae. Which are not that tough, but in a big group they are. Infected mites, at least, don't explode. Also, apparently one of the things they've added to the public test beta is an infected wolf spider, and the wolf spider is already one of the strongest things in the game. So a perfect block will not only prevent you from taking any damage, but it'll also stun the enemy a little bit. Took a good amount of damage there. This ladybug armor is pretty powerful, but it's not the strongest armor in the game anymore. We should be seeing the creature that gives you the strongest armor when we're adventuring around. Also, one of the things that I unfortunately ended up doing, not realizing it was specifically part of this update, was exploring the Haze lab here. So, if I hadn't already done that, we would have done that in this video, but since I have, we're just going to take a quick look at it. You need an explosive to blow the door open, but there is an underwater tunnel that will allow you to. Get in there without having to use one of these explosives, because these things are a little hard to make. So this is meant more as an exit or a shortcut than it is as an actual entryway. Also, this lab is very small, so that's why I'm not too worried about missing out on it. It's pretty much just one main room that you need to worry about, which is down here. Also, somehow a regular non-infected ladybug has gotten stuck down here. This thing has been standing in this door since I first found this place. So yeah, this is where you swim in. There's a tunnel back there. But for that, you need diving equipment, which is why you need the helmet and the bone dagger. It's full of diving bell spiders. You can see how they turn these regular mushrooms that you find all over the place into these horrible exploding mushrooms. This is actually a good place to harvest more fungus, but it is... Where's the main room? I wasn't even going to come in here, but I figured since we happened to see it, I would show you. I think it's actually over here. Nope, this is the way in. There's a large chamber somewhere in this lab, and you need to fight a bunch of fungally infected enemies in it. I thought it was right here. button. I mean, I think this is how you get in. You open the switch. See, and I didn't make any notes on this because I had already completed it. Anyway, it's basically just a big room. There's an infected ladybug in there and a bunch of infected mites, and you need to clear it out in order to get the burgle chip down here that gets you some new upgrades. So that's all there is down here. Also got some infected gnats, which I don't think really damage you. I can't remember. I don't think they do, though. If we can get close to one of these little buggers, we can actually switch over to photo mode, which is kind of decent now. They seem to have expanded the range at which you can actually use this, so you can get a close look at stuff like this. I do like the big swirly eyes they put on all of the infected insects. I imagine that an infected wolf spider will look kind of terrifying with that. But yeah, I think these guys just kind of hover up and annoy you. They're probably the easiest way to get some early fungus. Alright, we should be approaching the porch. Bunch of spider webs here. There shouldn't be a spider here, though, right now. Because they're not any more immune to the gas than any of the other bugs. Okay. So we got our chewing gum. Grab the shovel. I have to click and then jump. For some reason, the animation on this is much slower. I think they expect you to build a little platform to get this. Alright, there we go. Some gum nuggets. It's actually really dark right now. We're still in the haze, though, so I can't take off my mask. I can't remember exactly what we need to do to block this up. Because I don't think you can make anything out of the gum, like a big piece. But hopefully we don't need very much of it. Because there are not very many nodes as far as I'm aware. I don't think they respawn. It doesn't look like there's any more on this side. That's kind of the only one I knew about. Alright, well, hopefully this is enough. If not, well, then it's just going to have to wait. But we'll climb up to the canister and see if we can seal it up. You can see the edge of the sandbox over there. It is a giant crab-shaped sandbox. Alright, so now we need to get back to that canister we saw, which is not hard to find because it is the largest thing in here, but it is nighttime as well. That kind of makes things a little tougher. Does this lead up to the porch? I didn't even know you could get up here yet. Oh, this is how you get up to the canister. Well, that was a happy little accident. Though what I don't really get is if they had decided they were just going to blast the whole area with insecticide, why does the canister have a hole in it? That's a bee. Bees are not hostile, but you do see them flying around all over the place. I've shot down a few of them flying past my house, just because I needed bee parts. Okay, where is the hole? Oh yeah, it only takes one gum nugget. And now this whole area is mildly safer. It is still full of horrible fungus monsters, though, but now we can take off the gas mask. And since it's nighttime, I guess we'll put on the firefly headlamp. Now, I'm tempted to jump off, but unfortunately I don't have nearly enough time left on my dandelion tuft in order to get down to the ground. We would fall after about a second. You can see on the bottom right there, it is completely empty. Okay, so now that we've got our first objective completed, we're going to head over to the picnic table, which is next to the sandbox off in this direction, where you can't see anything because of this blinding light. Ow. Ooh. There's a lot of fall damage. Okay, so it looks like the gas is not even, like, cooling in these trenches. But apparently, this will actually cause some fungus to start appearing in other parts of the backyard. I don't know if it's spreading or what. Or if these insects are just leaving the area now that the haze is gone.
Hydration is the key to performance.
Eat a little bit more tadpole. Actually can't really tell where we're going right now. I'm not used to seeing the haze without the haze. So these landmarks all look unfamiliar now. I think we're still going the right way, though. Yeah, because this is the picnic table up here. There's the shovel. Honestly, this thing, once I upgraded it to level 5, it's doing crazy damage, because every upgrade increases the damage and durability by 10%. So that extra 50% damage, plus the mutations that boost your blade skill, are making it real powerful. And this is not even one of the strongest weapons in the game. We're going to be obtaining one of those in the next episode. Alright, so the shovel is over here. That's just a regular larva. You can see they have quite a bit less health than their infected variant. The sandbox. So, before we actually go up to the picnic table, there is an underwater tunnel that we want to climb into. I don't exactly know where it is, though. It's kind of near the picnic table. I think it's over by this other shovel. But there's an item in there that we're going to want before we go up. And that's why I brought the underwater stuff. I should probably have put a marker here. Would have been easier to find. We got another one of these pipes. Similar to the one that you used to get into the fungus lab. Okay, that one's full of dirt. Don't know how long this pipe has been sitting here, if it's managed to fill up entirely with dirt. I think this is where we need to go. Does my helmet work underwater? It does. But we only have 40 seconds of breathing time with that. We might have to switch to the bubble helmet. Oh, which is not great. Because now I can't even tell what direction we need to swim in. But we have a lot of time to figure it out. It seems to be the right way. This is why we need the dagger. Chop those soggy roots. You can actually use the dagger outside of water, too. Okay, so here's the Minotaur Maze key, which, as you might suspect, we're going to need in the Minotaur Maze up on the picnic table. Alright, now I just gotta figure out how to get out of the hole before I drown. It's so dark down here. There's an underwater lantern I could have made, but I didn't think we'd need it for just finding that. There's a couple different keys like this Minotaur Maze key in the game now, and it seems like that's one of the ways they're kind of going to gate progression is they'll put like a cool blueprint inside of a chest that you need a key for. Okay, so now we just need to get back to the shovel. Unfortunately, I don't really have another closer respawn to here. This is one of the places that I didn't mark out because I didn't think we'd die. Oop, vomit here. I don't really want to fight him. They're not that strong, but if you get hit with the acid, it does a decent chunk of damage. I don't think you can get down here, though. So this is the shovel. And apparently with an explosive, we can knock this down in order to turn it into a ramp. Gotta find the spot to plant it. Right here. How does the kid light it? Exactly. We don't have like a tiny lighter. Then again, somehow you light the torches as well, so I guess that's just a mystery we don't need to know the answer to. Got a bunch of sleeping bees. Oh. I had this happen before, too. I found some that were sleeping on the ground, and they seem to get aggressive if you walk up to them while they're sleeping. But most of the time, they aren't aggressive. They're also not very strong. But yeah, when they're flying by, they don't ever seem to stop to attack you. It's only when they're on the ground that they get hostile. Maybe it's because their nest is here? Fucking... They're just as annoying as mosquitoes because they fly away. One of them just tried to pollen on me, which slows you down. I mean, I hope I don't have to fight all of the bees. Maybe we'll just keep some distance from them. I also don't think you can do anything with the nest. It's, like, down there somewhere? It's on this side. Oh, actually, it's probably over there. I wish it wasn't still nighttime. You can hear all the sleeping bees. So I think that's the nest up there. We'll see once the sun comes up. It is currently 2:30 a.m., so it shouldn't be too long. Do anything with this banana peel? Another crow feather. Use this to make the crossbow as well as better arrows. And it's just dropped by the crow whenever it lands on one of the various perches around the yard. Some raw science up there. So I guess our first thing is just to find a way up onto the actual top of the picnic table, because this is just a bench. And not fall through one of the gaps. Alright. Black ants. Salt shard. Apple bits. So, salt shards are used for crafting salty weapons, which certain enemies are weak against. And I was pretty sure the only place to get salt was actually from the sandbox. But apparently there's one little shard up here. Probably just so you can research it and see what you can make out of it. Okay. There's a way up from here. Looks like if we go along the spoon, we can cross over to the other side where there appears to be a cooler that we can climb. But yeah, I thought this would make for a good adventure, this particular content update, because there was a smaller one before this, but it didn't really add anything to just go see. Come on, bee. You're no match for me. Don't even bother. Premium quality. I thought that said man rules. These are the man rules. I think this is the D&D manual. Not, you know, the actual D&D manual, but mazes and minotaurs. Be great if it wasn't so dark out. Actually, I think we can fix that. One of the nice things about photo mode is you can change the time of day on the actual photo. So yeah, I don't know, was some kid playing mazes and minotaurs here before they turned the backyard into a science experiment? Does this belong to one of the actual kids we play as? Oh, crap. I don't remember how to get the HUD back. There we go. Man, that would have sucked if we got here and we didn't have a busting tool. But I like all these little things. So far I've enjoyed the kind of adventure stuff you need to do to get to some of the areas, like the aerial kind of obstacle course you need to do to get to the hedge lab, which is then itself kind of an adventure. That's why I was a little disappointed that the fungus lab was such a simple affair by comparison. I think this is somebody's notebook. And this is the maze. And we got a D4, we got a D8. Is this a D8 or a D10? I think this is a D10. There's more sleeping bees over here. During the day, I think they should all be gone, because they tend to wander around the yard. But it sounds like there's a lot of them up here right now. And just some random ants wandering around. Okay, this is the entrance. That's a D8. D6. It's a D12, I think? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Also, one of the things that they've added in the public test beta update right now is there's going to be some kind of like resource station in here that you can use to search for resources in the surrounding area.
Science.
Okay, we can only make salt arrows with that. I think you need salt chunks in order to make the salt mace. Or it might just be that you actually need to get that recipe, because that's one of the ones that's locked in a chest. Got another disgusting hot dog up here. We can break that down for some Billy Hog bits in order to make our human food smoothies. Kind of seeing if there's anything else around the outside, but I think the maze is the main reason to come up here. Oh, I fell into the fucking notebook. And another feather. And I hear some raw science, which is probably inside this can. Uh-oh, uh-oh. I almost just jumped off. I jumped off. Fuck. Well. That's unfortunate. I was trying to figure out how to get into the can. Okay, well, we're not too far away. I was gonna skip it, but honestly, not much of a walk to get back up there. And who knows what kind of trouble we might get in on the way. Probably not a lot. But yeah, it took me about 20 hours to prep for this video from a fresh save file, so there's a decent amount of content in here right now, even though it's not finished. I just kind of wish they'd flesh out the story stuff a bit more, because there's a decent amount in here that's interesting, but not enough to really give you an idea of, like, why are there tiny children? Like, obviously they were doing shrinking experiments here, but what relation do these children have to the scientists? Is this like the Lost World situation, where it's 2 kids, or 4 kids in this case, helping out a scientist who doesn't really want their help? Or are these kids directly related to the scientist? Because he talks about his kids, so he has kids.
Really good.
Obviously not all of them are his kid, but maybe one of them? On the upside, dying at least did mean that we skipped to almost daytime. Actually get a good look at one of these. Like, obviously they just took the ladybug model and they added more onto it, but I think they look pretty good. The one thing I'm less certain about is they've essentially added palette swaps to the upcoming update for about half of the new insects. They're just like, the ladybird is a stronger version of the ladybug, but it looks the same, it's just orange instead of red. And there's a couple of those in there where I'm like, I mean, I get it. They want to add more stronger enemies to a tougher area without making entirely new ones. But, I mean, one of the things that's exciting to me about this game is seeing what bugs they choose to put in. I'm still holding out hope for a horrible centipede boss at some point, because there's only one boss in the game right now that was added in the update before the Hot and Hazy update. I might do a boss bites on that, just because, you know, I've got this save file that's this far in the game. I might as well give a try to the boss, but since that's not from this update, it's not going to be in either of these videos. There's some more gum there, but again, like, how would you get to that? I guess you'd have to climb up onto those plants. Okay, hopefully these bees won't bother me now that they're awake. Oh, right, you can't get up there from here. It's like they only attack you because they're startled or something. I'm glad it's daytime now, though, because I was actually avoiding going into the maze until it wasn't dark. Also, I was hoping there'd be less bees. Though, the downside to a biome like this is it's kind of a one-and-done thing, right? Once you've got your bee parts and you've gotten your treasure from the maze, there's not really any other reason to come back here ever. But since it is all the way up here and it's kind of a process, I guess it's okay as long as you get a good adventure out of it. And you're not going to know when you're playing, unless you're looking up the wiki like I have, what you actually need to come up here. So you'll like climb up and then you'll be like, oh, I don't have a level 2 hammer, so I guess I'm not getting up here. And might as well eat some more jerky.
Whoa.
I should actually drink one of my boost juices. I made so many of these that I think we can afford to use them. They last a pretty long time. Something like 5 minutes. Alright, let's head into the maze. We can take off our lantern now, because it's daytime. Can I just say that I love 3D terrain for like tabletop games, but it also seems super impractical to me just because you basically need a lot of space to store it, you know, if you're going to have a bunch of pieces. Like, you see these really cool dioramas, or like set pieces essentially, that you're going to use once and then they're just going to take up a bunch of space. So that part I'm not so great on, but when it's like a modular system like this, I think that's pretty cool and I would love to have one. I also don't know if there's another use for gum nuggets, because they don't have the scan icon on them, but I assume that means that they're still used for... They're still used for something. We got bug men in the way. I hope there's no traps in here. Set up for tiny people like us. Also, shouldn't there be a Minotaur in here somewhere? Then again, it's not like every D&D dungeon has dragons in it. Got a D20. Who rolls their D20 inside the fucking terrain? That's just bad manners. And here's the chest. In it, I think this is a Mega Milk Molar, which is another thing they've added to this game. Let's quickly show you in an overlay, I guess, how that system works. It's essentially just another form of permanent upgrades, which is nice, because being able to reduce the food and water and increase your stamina are all very handy things that make the game feel less tedious. And the Mega Milk Molars are for upgrades that actually affect everyone in your game, whereas the regular Milk Molars are just for yourself. And then the Picnic Burgle Chip. I don't remember what this lets you make. We have to go back to Burgle to actually get the recipes, but it is one of the reasons to come up here. There's basically a Burgle Chip in every special biome. So, like, not the starting one, but all of the other ones you go to from there tend to have a Burgle Chip somewhere that will give you some new recipes. No reason to let these potential arrows go to waste. That was only one. There's a weird thing where when the crow first lands, it drops feathers that only give you one piece, but when it takes off, it drops ones that give you like 3 or 4. Is there another room? No, that's outside. Okay, well, that's the picnic table. We're done with that. So now we gotta get to the trash heap, which is back there, and then that'll pretty much be it. However, I do want to drop down underneath the picnic table because there's a new enemy down there that we can check out. And it is the one that gives you the strongest armor in the game right now. Is there like a... I should have brought another dandelion fluff. I didn't even consider that we need to do some jumping. I hope they eventually add a better glider, because there's a slot for gliders like that. But the only thing you can put in there right now is dandelion fluffs, which don't last very long. Now, speaking of milk molars, there's one right there. So, before you can start popping these open to get their treasure, I'm going to just drop this mosquito stuff. You actually need to get the level 2 hammer. That's one of the first things you really want to get in the game and start getting those upgrades. But these are like vitamins that look like teeth. And I guess they're full of calcium or something. Man, I really wish we could jump off. You think being tiny that gravity wouldn't hurt you so much. But we don't have an exoskeleton, so we can't take falls like ants can. And yeah, there's the beehive over there. I don't think you can do anything with the beehive. I think it's just there so that you know, that's why the bees are here. It's obviously not where the bees sleep. So yeah, pretty good range you can get away from yourself now with photo mode. But I don't think that works in multiplayer, for obvious reasons. The game doesn't actually pause. The beehive is also so comically small compared to the size of the bees. Like, no wonder they all have to sleep on the ground. Alright, is there any water I can jump into? Kind of hoping that other pond was in the way. No, but we can just jump onto the grass. I do like, though, that all of these plants are solid enough that you can just climb up on one of these, these thistles or whatever, right up to the top if you want to, and then hop across the grass. Alright, so like I said, before we go to the trash heap, we want to kind of check this area, see if we can see one of the new enemies. No, well, here's some water. I don't think I could have survived if I fell in this, though. I don't think it's deep enough. Now, I've only seen like one or two of these guys at all, so I don't think they spawn very much. But if we can't find one here, there is one in the trash heap that I know of. I just know that they're supposed to spawn under the picnic table. I've seen at least one of them here. Kind of funny that the droplets fill you up with food and water, I guess because of all the sugar in them. That's all a tiny child needs to keep running. Not really seeing any. I don't know, like I came over here to check prior to doing the video, and I did run into one. So I thought it wouldn't be too difficult to find one. This area is actually very barren. There's like nothing else that spawns here. I faintly heard something. Not the aphid, but I think I heard legs. Big legs. I do appreciate that you can usually tell what bugs are around before you run into them just by the sounds they make.
Can't waste food.
Oh. Some nectar falling out of the hive. Alright, well, we'll do kind of a lap along the back here and then just keep going past it to the trash heap. Stink bug. Not what we're looking for. It is a little funny to me that they've decided that all of the bugs snore when they sleep. I mean, it's helpful to know when they're asleep. Especially the spiders. But it's kind of odd to hear like a snoring stink bug. I think this is actually the bottle for the milk molars. I mean, maybe it's back here behind the picnic table and not under it? Spider over there. They may still be terrifying looking, but once you get to like the mid-tier of the game, these orb weavers are not really much of a problem. You can take 3 or 4 of them without taking much damage. Following the sound of legs, but still nothing. Alright, well, let's head towards the Trash Heap, which is actually located behind the sandbox, so we'll have to go around that. I don't know if you saw it, I probably should have looked at it, but up next to the lab on top of the picnic table, there was actually a zipline point that leads into the sandbox, but you have to build it. It's just basically the anchor, and you have to build the zipline itself. So that's one way to get there. The other way is to go through the anthill. I think the anthill way is easier. Can I fit behind the sandbox? I can't remember if there's a path back here. Yeah, it looks like there's a little bit of a space, so we don't have to go the long way around. Unfortunately, there's also spiders. Spiders all the way down. Well, I did say that they're not too tough. Let's see if I can put my stabbing bits where my mouth is. Thankfully, spiders do not all aggro on you when one does, even though they tend to have these weird communal holes. And I believe, just like the wolf spider, the orb weaver is actually weak against slashing damage. Where are you going? They're also much slower between when they telegraph and when they attack compared to the wolf spider. Because the wolf spider has mostly the same attacks, it's just they're much faster and they poison you. And the poison hurts a lot. It's kind of what actually kills you most of the time. Okay, so this is the spider shortcut. You just have to kill all the spiders to use it. You can see that even when I block there with just the dagger, you still don't take any damage if you block at the right time. I do wish there was a way to equip the sword and shield at the same time, because there's often a bit of awkwardness when you're trying to re-equip it after using the bow. Because you have to pull out the bow, then you have to pull out either the sword or the shield, and then wait a second, and then pull out the other one. You can't do it both at the same time, or it'll tend to unequip one and equip the other, which is why I ended up blocking with my dagger. Okay, I think we've killed our way through here. What the fuck is that sound? I think that's the sound of a burrowing larva, but it sounds like it's outside the fence. Well, we get another milk molar as a reward. I think I'm at the point where I need like 2 or 3 of those to get my next upgrade. Oh, here's one of the new guys. This is the Sickly Roly Poly. Apparently the public test beta has the actual healthy Roly Poly, so you make a slightly worse armor out of these guys than you will out of the healthy ones. They are very tough, though, despite being apparently sickly. And they are, because of their armored shell, they are resistant to slashing. So we have to use the club on them, which is the reason I'm still carrying it. So they're not too tough to avoid. When they do this, they actually roll up and they heal, and there's not really anything you can do about that. Just have to wait. They seem to have no, like, sounds for their attacks yet. I think that's because they're unfinished. They can hurt you pretty bad with the rolling attacks, but, like, they're so slow to pull them out that they're very easy to avoid. Ow. Yeah, you see, that almost one-shotted me, that roll. So blocking is very important against them. And I think that should be enough parts for me to make my Centurion helmet. Okay, we took a bunch of damage, so let's pop a smoothie, which will heal you as well. Unlike the bandages, the smoothies are an instant heal, but they don't heal you for as much over time. Or rather, the bandage will heal you for more overall. Why is there a bee stuck in the ground over here? This game definitely still has a problem where a lot of enemies tend to get stuck in the walls, especially the ants inside their anthills. But hopefully they'll be able to smooth that out eventually, because, I mean, Subnautica had that problem too. Though Subnautica also had deformable terrain, so that's probably a better reason for enemies to get stuck. Is that another roly poly? Shit, I should have just looked back here. I didn't realize there were so many. Okay, well, we're just about at the trash heap. I don't know if they're sickly because they hang out around the trash heap. But the healthy ones are going to show up in the new biomes that are being added. So there's not really too much going on in the trash heap itself. It's not a very big biome, despite being pretty large on the map, because most of it is taken up by these trash bags and stuff that you have to squeeze between. But it is a decent place to find more human food ingredients, because, you know, human food is super useful for fighting tough stuff, since it gives you that damage reduction. I can't squeeze through there. And I don't think there is a burgle chip you can find here. It's just the one that's in the anthill, which is underneath. Also, it's full of toxic food that you need to wear a gas mask around. You know, rotting apples and stuff. So this is like the main trash section right here. And I believe there are some milk molars scattered in the trash as well. We're not going to go in here, though, because, like I said, there's not really any reason to. So any of the toxic food, you can throw on a gas mask and then smash them in order to, you know, get past them without having to wear a gas mask. But like the stink bug cloud, it will actually damage your gas mask. Somehow the stink of rotting food is more harmful than the insecticide. Alright. So the Black Anthill lab is marked there, but it's actually underground. We need to go around the trash barrier in order to get to the anthill. And then we'll wrap up, because like I said, I think that was a solid chunk of adventure for the first part. And then the sandbox is pretty large and kind of has its own thing going on, so I thought that'd be good for its own part. Plus the whatever puzzles we need to solve in the Black Anthill lab. We also have this Arts 3000. Can't tell exactly what that's supposed to be, like what kind of computer it's meant to be riffing on. Alright, well here's the anthill right here. There is still a soldier ant stuck in the wall, but just like with the red ants, only the soldiers are inherently hostile to you. But if you attack any ant, including the soldier ants, in front of other ants, they will become hostile as well. As you can see, I've got a little camp set up out here, so we can set our respawn. And then we'll head down into the anthill. The anthill itself shouldn't have much going on. It's mostly just a bunch of tunnels that leads to the next area. But we'll stop right down here, because this is where the entrance to the lab is. And there's a distinct lack of ants in this anthill. Most of them are outside, foraging for garbage, which they will bring back here. It's also worth mentioning that unlike the red ants, making the black ant armor will not prevent the soldier ants from attacking you here. But I guess you don't need it, because there's nothing really hostile in most of this. But I've already been in here before. Like, I've been to this area because I had to get the parts to make my blank ant stuff, but I haven't explored too fully in any direction. So we're going to stop right here, because this is where the actual lab is. Next time, we're going to fully explore the lab and the anthill itself, and then we're going to head up that way to the entrance to the sandbox, which I've also been to. I've been to the entrance specifically so that I could set up another base camp, but I haven't fought the enemies there or really explored at all. So, until the second part of this What's Update, you folks all take care.